Okay, so in the last video, I talked about how I don't agree that macro counting is the way to help people to satisfy their hunger and their cravings on a weight loss diet, especially if you're still including sugars and carbohydrates. Now, when you're on the carnivore diet, if you are tracking macros, it's a different story. So we're tracking just proteins and fats. We do not eat carbohydrates. And while when you start the carnivore diet, you definitely do not need to count macros, you do not need to count calories. But eventually, in your journey on the carnivore diet, you will probably want to clean things up or get more specific, in other words. And so once you have adapted to the carnivore way of eating, at the beginning, you don't really need to count macros because you tend to kind of undereat in the beginning anyway, because you're eating super satisfying and satiating foods. And people tend to say that they just don't want to eat all of their meals. But then a couple months in, a year in, you might want to get more specific. Maybe you plateaued on your weight loss and you need to get more specific and kind of get a really good idea for how many calories you are taking in and what your fat to protein percentage is. Now, I will say all of my clients get a customized nutrition plan from me, and we include the breakdown of where I want their calories to be and where I want their macros to be, including how to break out the fat and the protein. And I do this early on in their journey so that they avoid the common mistakes that many new carnivores make, which is under eating and dealing with hormonal issues because of that. But here's how to accurately track your macros once you do. So first you set your macros, right? I like to consult with my clients and figure out where their calories should be based on their lifestyle. If they are sedentary, I need to take that into account. But what you're gonna do once you know your calories, then you figure out how much protein to have. And protein, you start with protein first. You need a certain amount of protein to be a thriving human based on your gender, your age, and your lifestyle. But a good rule of thumb is taking 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight. And then you're just gonna let fat fill in the rest, right? And if you need help with these things, book a one-time consult. You'll get a whole nutrition plan that's customized for you based on me taking in a lot of information and setting you on your way. But that's a general good rule of thumb that gets you to be about 70% fat and 30% protein. And then you just want to be accurate about the way that you track. So tracking is really important, but if we're not tracking accurately, what use is it? So I tell people to kind of use their thumb and their palm to understand portions, not that this is your portion. You might do 2 of these, but I just help people understand this is about 4 to 6 ounces, and this is your 1 tablespoon of fat. But fat can add up. So if you're cooking with tallow and butter, and then you're adding tallow and butter on, it is easy to overeat on the carnivore diet, and you can do it. You don't have to worry about that initially, because when you have fat, you're going to be satiated. You're not going to be able to eat it, but some people can overeat it. So that's why I tell people to be super accurate with their measurements. And on the carnivore diet, we don't necessarily snack, but some people might grab brown butter bites or things like that, some bacon here or there. You just want to accurately track everything, so make sure you're writing everything down or putting it into your app. Because as we know, little things do add up. And then, of course, if you're not seeing progress, you need to tweak your macros. You might need to adjust it. This is what I do for my clients based on what their goals are, based on the health that they had coming into carnivore, what their goals are, how physically active they are. Sometimes I increase protein because they're physically active. Other times I need them to decrease protein. It all is individual, but if you're not getting results, you might need to adjust your macros and just educate yourself on why and how for you. And of course, you do not need to track. If you don't want to track, if you come from a history of obsessively tracking, some people, I say, we're not going to track. We're going to go more on biofeedback. And biofeedback would be things like, how did I sleep? How's my mood? How is my hunger? How's my energy? How did I feel before breakfast? How did I feel after breakfast? All sorts of other ways that you can track other than your measurements on your food. So if that doesn't feel good for you, or if it doesn't match what you are doing carnivore for, go ahead and not track. But if you want more results, you might need more data. All right, Team Carnivore, are you tracking, or do you like to go by instincts? Let me know in the comments.